Hello. Before Ozempic, there was NBC's weight loss competition, Biggest Loser, where the loser became a winner of $250,000. And although ending in 2016, it has come back into view 9 years later. There's a new Netflix documentary out called Fit for TV, the reality of The Biggest Loser. And it's basically a tell-all from former contestants spilling the tea on what they had to endure being a contestant on the show and the aftermath that followed each of them individually. And I mean, nothing they revealed was really surprising, seeing how society views and treats bigger people, and that The Biggest Loser has come under fire before. Several years ago, with former contestants speaking out that they had been drugged on the show. But the toxic cycle of weight gain, weight loss, diet culture, and differing expert opinions about health depicted on the show is foul-proof despite modern day hashtag self-love, body positivity movements that became popularized near the end of the show when people just kind of started tuning out and people started catching on to the fatphobic narrative behind Biggest Loser. It's crystal clear that there is still an alarming obsession with people wanting to be the smallest size possible. Western society continues to make no progress in effort to accept all body types because the internet and social media still, in the present day, equates skinny with healthy. Think of all those clean girl aesthetic posts that you come across on Instagram and TikTok. All of these women, quote unquote, living their best lives, eating all the healthy stuff, doing all the exercise, or so they seem to be doing. What do they all have in common? They all look unattainably thin. I mean, no hate to anyone of any size, of course, but all of this healthy, clean girl content that you are bombarded with every single day wants you to get that message. Those who curate it want you to believe that if you're not living the lifestyle or eating like these yoga-bodied influencers, that you're gross, and that you're not living the life that you should just because you're not the same size as them. And it's birthed online toxic spaces like Skinny Talk and the uptick of Ozempic prescriptions that have gotten completely out of hand and has had devastating consequences for its consumers' bodies and overall health.
If you're currently taking Ozempic, you need to stop. One, there is no research on a person that is not diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, okay? There's literally zero research. They haven't done any trials on all the long-term side effects for someone that is not diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. But they did do trials for individuals with type 2 diabetes, and guess what? There are a lot of side effects that come with this drug. Behind my screen, and I'm going to show you because I'm going to talk about the few side effects that you cannot see. I'm going to put it right here. This is on Ozempic's website, but guess what? It's this really small link because I really don't want people to know that there's long-term side effects besides just, nausea and constipation. So starting off with number one, and again, I'm going to put it here. There is a risk of thyroid C cell tumors. You can get tumors from this drug. Number two, pancreatitis. Next one, diabetic retinopathy complications. Retinopathy is your eyes. So you're having complications with your sight, which can literally lead to blindness. Over here, right there, it says acute kidney injury. So you're literally killing your kidneys as well because you're not able to filter out everything that you're putting in your body, so your kidneys start to fail. So are you telling me you want to be on dialysis? There again is gallbladder disease. Your gallbladder does not function because guess what? Again, your kidneys aren't working, so they aren't able to filtrate out everything in your body. So then your gallbladder has complications because it gets infected, and now you can't go to the restroom. And remember, the number one side effect that they even talk to you about is nausea and constipation. So your GI tract is already messed up anyways. I'm going to put it back up here, but guess what? It says, to reduce the risk of major adverse cardiovascular events, in parentheses, cardiovascular death. People, that is what I was talking about in my other video. You guys aren't having enough potassium in your bodies, so you're not able to contract your heart, so then you go into cardiac arrest. I cannot give you specific people because I'm not allowed to name drop names because that's a HIPAA law. But trust me, go do research. It's out there. You just have to wiggle and find it because no one wants to show you it because guess what? It's all about money. Money. They got you on a drug that you literally have to be on for the rest of your life. That's corrupt.
And if we're being quite honest, I think we're at a worse place right now than 20 years ago when The Biggest Loser came out in the pre-Love Your Body as It Is era. I want to comb through some of the biggest revelations from the documentary because this new behind the scenes information is just a combobulation of exploitation, heartbreak, danger, and just outright prejudice. Now, I feel compelled to put a disclaimer before we jump into it because I am by no means a medical professional. So whenever I put out a comment about health, body, whatever the shit, it's just stuff that I have learned from having life experience and going down rabbit holes about health and fitness throughout the years. So now that I'm no longer liable for potential misunderstandings, let's talk about the fucking trainers on The Biggest Loser. Now, everybody knows Jillian Michael was kind of like a bit of a military drill sergeant.
Get on the ladder! Are you ready to work? Are you ready to work? If you quit on me again, you go home, and no one's gonna chase you. No ow, no ow. I don't wanna hear ow. Ow. You're acting pathetic. Every time you lay down, I'm gonna think dead father. That's what I think. Now get up.
Like, you know, she would yell at the contestants, scream at them. What was her famous line was like, unless you're like bleeding or dying, keep going. But why the fuck? Did no one talk about Bob Harper? Because this guy screams red flag. I personally think he was just as bad as Jillian.
Every time. Every time. What is it?
I'm giving you my best.
No, you're not. You're stopping every single time.
Not stopping. I never left.
Every single
You
time.
asked for
No,
6
then
points.
do it. Do it now. Okay? Everyone goes for 30 seconds. You don't come off for 30 seconds, okay? That's all I'm asking. Just do that. God!
Not just because he also screamed profanities at the contestants during their intense workout, but he just has this
I'm better than you, bitch
aura about him. Pre-Biggest Loser, Bob Harper had absolutely zero experience working with people who were fighting obesity. Bob Harper only had professional experience working with people who were already fit and just wanted to trim up and get like a 6-pack or some bullshit like that. He had absolutely no fucking clue what he was doing with the weight loss plans that he was giving these contestants. And I mean, I certainly don't think Jillian Michaels was super qualified either, but we may never know because Jillian Michaels refused to participate in the documentary to tell her side of the story. And she's suing everybody involved in making the documentary, which is different topic. I digress. It's just like a doctor is not just any doctor. They have a specific area of wellness that they specialize in that makes them qualified to treat certain ailments and diseases. Exercise and diet regimes are not a one-size-fits-all, and you have to tailor them to people based on their metabolism, general fitness level, food sensitivities, allergies, etc. And the contestants on the show, they were getting trained like professional athletes, not the average person who does average cardio workouts and follow simple dietary guidelines. So needless to say, this show was kind of dangerous to be on. Anyone who went on the show had to sign a contract before the show started filming that basically said, we're not responsible if you die. Not injured, die. I mean, of course, not to judge any past contestants, but if that was me, like if I was going on The Biggest Loser and I saw that in a contract, I'd be like,
hell no, fuck, I'm out of here.
because that just sounds an alarm bell, not only in my head, but in my gut as well. I broke a pin earlier today. We don't have to talk about it, but I swear it was an accident. And a contestant from season 8, Tracy was her name, had to be hospitalized and almost died from a 1-mile run that if they didn't complete, they would be kicked off the show.
I'm running and my legs feel really heavy, like lead. My legs are so weak.
Got you. Come on, stand up.
What's happening right then is my body's starting to shut down. But I told myself, I'm gonna do it. Because I want to change my life.
I'm walking, okay? I'm gonna call.
Huh?
I'm going. I'm here next.
But I physically could not get up.
She was really not responding.
Come on, Tracy, squeeze.
I don't remember a lot. I just felt like I was floating. And then my grandpa was there. And then I saw darkness. But then I saw light. So I knew I died that day. I didn't realize that I had rhabdomyolysis. And rhabdomyolysis is your body's way of saying, I'm going to shut down on you. It started with my liver, then it went to my kidneys, and then it goes to your heart. And that's where I almost died. Doctors telling me, if these legs don't drain, We are going to cut your legs open so that they can drink.
Here's the thing though. Before Biggest Loser, there was very little to no visibility for plus size people on TV or anywhere else in the media. But Biggest Loser changed that. Many audience members of Biggest Loser who were overweight found it inspirational and found people they could aspire to be like. And it gave them motivation to get their life together, to shed off the extra weight they didn't want. And those who were lucky enough to get on the show, this was their last hope for redemption and a second chance at life after they had tried everything they know. But many contestants learned very quickly that this was not a show made to help them, but to exploit them for entertainment purposes. Not surprising, of course, because it is reality TV. Kind of like how they used to put bad singers on American Idol in the audition rounds at the beginning of the season, like way back in the day, like in the early 2000s, when Simon Cowell and Paula Abdul and Randy Jackson were on the show. It was the same thing with The Biggest Loser, where cast members are being poked and prodded at for dramatic reactions. Especially when you look back on the Temptation Challenge part of the show, where they bribed the contestants with a table of junk food to see how well they could control themselves, and whoever won got a chance to see their family. And this is a very harmful stereotype that overweight people go through life not being able to control their appetite and just stuff their faces all the time. And the amount of times they put footage of these contestants puking or falling on camera during the workouts really solidified that fact for many of the contestants in hindsight. It was made to make fun of overweight people. And Alison Sweeney, the host of most of the seasons of Biggest Loser, seems like the only sane person who is on that show. She seemed to really hate having to put the contestants through what she told them to go through for the sake of the show. Now, another thing I want to talk about, many times when overweight people are not being disgraced or shamed for their size, they're viewed as a sob story or someone who needs help. I think that's where the plus size representation from The Biggest Loser got harmful, because all of them did have the intention of losing weight. So I think that made many people generalize heavier individuals as always on a mission to take off pounds and make better choices. But not everyone who is heavier set is on a weight loss journey. Maybe they just love and accept themselves as they are. What I'm really trying to say is not every single overweight person should have to exist as a charity case or a passion project that people have to make over and fix. If they want to take a fitness journey and shed some pounds, great, then that's their choice. This is something that This Is Us actress Chrissy Metz talked about in an interview several years ago, where she said it's not very common to get cast in roles where it's not all about the character's weight. The character's size is overshadowed by the character's main storyline. But back to The Biggest Loser. There was a doctor on that show, Dr. Huizinga, who oversaw the internal health and the progress of Biggest Loser's contestants. He butted heads a lot with the trainers and was almost never on the same page as far as what was best for the contestants' health and bodies. And he said in the documentary that he didn't even meet Bob Harper and Jillian Michaels until later on in the first season, which he later in hindsight contributed to their differing opinions about what contestants actually need to do to lose the weight that they want. Like, for example, he told the trainers not to give the contestants any caffeine. Jillian Michaels, however, went against his recommendations and gave the contestants caffeine pills to give them more energy during their workouts.
Caffeine supplements make users less hungry. They are legal, but the documentary says that the medical staff on The Biggest Loser banned them because they can be dangerous in high doses. In a dramatic moment in season 15, Jillian Michaels was reprimanded and her team penalized for using them.
Jillian broke the rules and gave caffeine supplements to each member of her team without the doctor's permission.
I stand by my opinion. A caffeine supplement is significantly healthier than unlimited amounts of coffee.
And because this show started at a time when mental health was not talked about and therapy was still stigmatized, the experience of being on such an intense weight loss journey is not only taxing on the body, but also on the mind. I found this article called Down Bad, which is a play on words of one of Taylor Swift's Songs from Torture Poet Department, that explains this phenomenon. The physical release of exercise could lead to an emotional release of buried or unprocessed feelings. The idea is that our body is releasing a bunch of pent-up tension and emotion that we've been holding on to, internalizing, to make it through the other day-to-day parts of our lives. Then, when we exert ourselves through exercise, we lose some of the ability to keep it all stuffed in. Getting emotional during exercises could even be a trauma response. And the trainers, when they weren't screaming profanities at the contestants for motivation, acted as pseudo-therapists with their pep talks and would say shit like, "Do it for your family. You got a little girl back it home. These contestants needed way more than just soft words here and there from people who are paid to scream in their face about how worthless and weak they are. But regardless of the hellish torture that was The Biggest Loser experience, The Biggest Loser was a huge success. So much so that it branched off to other countries outside of the US, became a massive franchise and really a lifestyle. Someone in the documentary, I don't remember who, called it the Hunger Games of weight loss, and I've never been able to get over that analogy since. But when you take a step back and you look at the handful of contestants after their time on the show, the consistency of their weight loss varied dramatically. Some gained all the weight back, some just gained a little bit of the weight back, but didn't look anything like they did when they first were on the show. And others kept the weight off completely. And there were some who admitted in the documentary using Ozempic. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video that this is not the first time that The Biggest Loser has come under fire and heavy criticism. Because in 2016, the New York Times made a very bold claim that The Biggest Loser completely shot the metabolisms of its contestants based on a study that was done on a group of 14 former contestants of The Biggest Loser, where they intensely studied their metabolic rates over an extended period of time and came to the conclusion that the reason that many of the former contestants had gained the weight back was due to the strenuous workouts and the restrictive diets, completely killing the effectiveness of their metabolisms. But the contestants featured in the documentary, of all people, had their doubts about the New York Times claims. They felt that the study was pretty biased because it didn't take into account enough of the former contestants to come to a more accurate conclusion, because many shared the sentiment that their metabolism was already messed up before The Biggest Loser, and they had gained the weight that they did due to their own choices and lifestyle. They really didn't think The Biggest Loser was the main culprit. They kind of held a nature versus nurture kind of point of view on their metabolic rates. Now, of course, they brought doctors in the documentary to weigh in their medical opinions and note that the kind of weight loss depicted on The Biggest Loser is almost impossible to maintain unless you're doing the kinds of workouts and following the same diet every single day for the rest of your life. And that's because everyone has a different weight set point based on their genetics and lifestyle choices. There's an article from obesityinaction.com that explains this in a little bit more detail. The set point for body weight varies among people, with some remaining lean throughout their lives while others remain at a normal weight or in the obesity range. There is also evidence for a genetically determined weight trajectory in some people. For example, that keeps weight low until middle age. The genes one inherits from his or her parents are one major influence on the value of the set point, and the nutritional factors before and soon after birth are also thought to be important. Rather than being permanently fixed, the weight set point is influenced by several environmental factors and can change. For example, the average palatability or desirability of one's food is important, with chronic consumption of more palatable food generally resulting in a higher weight set point. Because of this, people tend to change weight when the food environment changes. For example, when students go off to college, stress is also an important factor, with most people maintaining lower body weights when faced with chronic stress. Now, The Biggest Loser was already starting to lose its popularity and hurrah when Rachel Friedrichsen, the winner of season 15 of Biggest Loser, actually got backlash for the amount of weight that she had lost as a result of being on Biggest Loser. She was accused of being unhealthily thin, going too far, taking substances. And what's interesting is that both Bob Harper and Jillian Michaels have publicly spoken out about the moment when they saw Rachel Friedrichsen come out on stage during that finale, how they had this huge moment of self-reflection and felt that they had gone too far in whatever they had made their contestants do to lose weight. And I think this was kind of when the general public's view on The Biggest Loser had turned from inspirational stories of weight loss to harmful media consumption of healthy human bodies that led to people reevaluating what healthy actually looks like and what it truly means to be healthy, which paved the way of body positivity movements, of not defining yourself by a number on a scale, the aversion to crash diets, and so on and so forth. But in the present day, with the prominence of social media and all these apps that are available now to drastically alter one's body appearance and the overrepresentation of fitfluencers, combined with the Ozempic craze, we are very vulnerable right now to regressing back to that toxic misconception that smaller equals healthier. I mean, all of this to say, body size and composition is not a flex or a flaw that needs to be fixed. If you're healthy and you're happy, you're doing it right. You're doing the whole healthy thing right, in my most humblest of opinion. I know that is easy easier said than done, but I'm just asking you to at least try. It wouldn't hurt you to try. It won't kill anyone to toy with that idea. But I don't know, that's just me. But I definitely recommend that you go watch Fit for TV, the reality behind The Biggest Loser on Netflix, if you have Netflix. Because there's so much more included in that documentary that I couldn't possibly cover in just one video to stay on topic. And after you do watch it, come back to this video and leave in the comments what your takeaways were. But that's all I got for today. You're a real one for watching till the very, very end. Thank you. Give a thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed it. And if you really liked this video, you liked it this much, then I would absolutely love for you to be a part of my emotional support coven. And it's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is just take your magic little witchy finger, find where it says subscribe, and just give it a simple tap like this. Ping! I mean, it's cool if you have your notifications turned on. You'll be notified every single time I have a new video drop. Every single time when you have notifications turned on. So go ahead and turn them on. See you in the next video. Bye.